Are you thinking about starting or nourishing a career in menstrual cycle health? Then consider joining our 9-month online holistic hormone and cycle coaching certification training. In this training, you get science-backed and evidence-based education, as well as teachings about the somatic aspects of having a menstrual cycle, functional nutrition, hormone testing, and much, much more. We will have incredible live group sessions, and you will get guidance from me. There will also be amazing guest teaching lectures from experts in the field, and at the end you will receive an official certificate of completion that is globally recognized. As a listener of the Planting Seeds podcast, you receive an additional €100 off when you use the code PODCAST when you sign up. Click on the link in the show notes to learn more.
Hello friends, my name is Iris Josephina. I'm your host, and you are listening to the Planting Seeds podcast. On the Planting Seeds podcast, we explore how we can cultivate a more gentle relationship with our cyclical bodies, the earth, each other, and the world around us through using our senses, science, the subtle, and the sacred. On Planting Seeds, we talk about all those topics you've always wanted to talk about. We are shamelessly opening up the conversations that we all so desperately need to settle in our precious bodies and relate to each other in a more open, truthful, and empowered way. I'm so glad you're here today.
Hey friends. Today, I want to talk to you about my preconception journey. I've had people ask me about that, and I've had people, ask me to share more about what I do and how I do things. But I also want to say I have been a little bit hesitant to share because, I am considered an expert in the field of hormone health. So with sharing my own journey, I don't want to dictate what other people have to do, which is why I have gotten a little bit withdrawn about sharing my own story. And I held back a little bit because, I don't want my story to dictate what your story is going to be, right? Or that my story is the best story because, or my way is the best way because I am in this field and I just know a lot about it, So yeah, that's why I've held back a little bit. But today feels really good to share a little bit more about it and to give you a little peek into my personal life and my experiences with this. And I think I want to start with saying that I have not always been so clear about wanting children. I can remember, there was a time in my life where I was thinking why would anybody put children on this planet? There are so many children without parents already. Why don't we all just adopt? The world is going to shit. Why would I want to put a child onto this planet, into this, shit show that we're in? And I think, the way that we look at conceiving, being pregnant, birthing, being a parent changes with, our phase in life, where we are. So I haven't always been like this. I haven't always been so vocal about wanting to become a mother, but I am now. And I have been a little bit more vocal about wanting that. And also I've been very vocal about preparing. And I think I just want to go into quote unquote the theory a little bit, or maybe not the theory, but how things usually go. The mainstream way to go about this is that a lot of people only start thinking about children when they're almost going to start trying, which, I'm not saying it's wrong. It's very logical, but I think it also takes away opportunity because we can start thinking about preparing our bodies way, way, way before. And obviously I know that because of my work and also the problems that I have seen people have, really, really hard journeys that people are on when they're trying to conceive. And most of the time it's because they don't think about it in their entire life up until the moment they decide, oh, we want to have children. Many people, it doesn't occur to them. They don't think about it. And I'm not saying that to blame people. It's just a reality of how it is. Like, it's not in people's consciousness. It's not how our societies are built up. Nobody is telling us like, oh, if you want to have children, you should start thinking about it like 3 years in advance and really take care of your body. Like, it's not how Western society is built up. So I just want to make very clear, like, I don't want to blame anybody. But for me, because I saw people struggle all the time, and I may be a little bit biased because I see clients who are struggling more than maybe other people do. But, it really got me thinking about my own journey. Like, how am I taking care of my body? And are there ways in which I can improve that, And for people who know me, I am a person who is always trying to improve. And with improving, I don't mean like obsessively wanting to make everything better, but I am very interested in personal growth, and I'm very interested in what we are capable of as humans when it comes to our own potential. So it comes natural to me that, when there is big things in my life that I want to properly prepare and I want to learn about it. And I love studying and I love reading books and listening to podcasts. And with my ADHD, I love hyper focusing on one topic and getting completely lost in all the rabbit holes. So for my own preconception journey, I knew that I really wanted to start as soon as I could, as early as I could. And, I'm going to be 34 soon. And my biological clock is ticking. Like, that's a reality of how it is. So I'm not saying that, when I'm older, I'm more at risk to experience things that maybe not so nice, like loss or anything else. I don't want to subscribe to that story for myself. But I also know how important it is for parents to be in optimal health, because it literally translates into the quality of our egg and the quality of our sperm. And I'm really blessed to have a partner who actually recognizes this, and he really listens to me, and he really understands how important this is for me. And he really wants to do the best that he can. Unfortunately, I also know that not all partners are as open to that. For us, that's not an issue. It's actually just really sweet. He recently got, and it's really sweet. He recently got like a Garmin smartwatch, and now he's like really tracking all of his health markers and like seeing how he's doing and really wanting to improve and do better. And it's really, I love that he is dedicated to that as well. And, we try to really focus on how we're eating, what we're eating, when we're eating. So I'm happy to have a partner who is open. And he'll also, if I give him supplements, he'll just blindly take them. And I'm always saying to him, like, I could literally poison you. Like, you're trusting me so much. I would give him like a handful of supplements and he'll just take them without even knowing what it is. And we joke about that sometimes. So, but back to me. My partner is doing his own stuff, but I think people are most interested knowing what I do. And I want to share some of the things that I do that are very accessible, that are very easy for you to do as well, so that, you have maybe some more control. And with control, I don't mean to say that we can control the entirety of the situation, but with control, I mean, when you prepare, you can control some of the things that you do that your body is subject to, like eat, like sleep, like move, those things. And I feel how a lot of people feel when they have, for example, fertility issues, is that everything feels out of control. And when somebody ends up doing a fertility trajectory, IUI or IVF, you literally have to give your power, give your control to another person, a doctor, medical staff. And that can feel really hard for people. So with today's episode, I really want to give you some tips and some tricks and some tools and some inspiration mainly so that you can take some of that control back. Or if you don't feel you've given it away, just take control in general. And I feel one of the most important things that I do for myself, and I started with this a long, long time ago. I actually just, this morning I saw that I'm on my 103rd menstrual cycle that I am charting. So I chart my cycle religiously. Okay, sometimes I forget to take my temperature, but it's rare. But charting your cycle is one of the most important things that you can do if you're wanting to conceive at some point of your life, even though that is going to be in 2 years or maybe 3 or maybe longer. So charting your cycle is something you can do when you are off of hormonal contraceptives. And you can use this method as a way to prevent pregnancy or to call in pregnancy. And the way it works is that you take your basal body temperature, you keep track of your cervical fluid and your cervical position. And what you do then is you collect all of this data from your body, you put it onto a paper or onto an app, depending on what you like, so that you have direct data from your body. There is no more direct data you can get from your body that stands in direct relationship with your menstrual cycle than your basal body temperature, the fluids that come from your body all throughout the month, whether it is cervical fluid or period blood, how you feel, and how your cervix is behaving. Like, these are direct signs, direct fertility signs of your body. And when you track all of this in a chart so that you literally have a statistic of your body, you have direct information to interpret with a fertility awareness educator, someone like me, holistic hormone health coach, who can really observe with you, like, oh, maybe we should support your body to ovulate more robustly. When you chart, you can determine exactly when you are ovulating and what do you need to conceive a robust ovulation, because if you don't release an egg, you don't fall pregnant. So this is one of the most important things that I personally started doing years and years and years ago. And I think it's something that, in my personal journey, I am the most proud of, that I have dedicated my life to charting my cycle so religiously. I think I was 22. No, not true. I was 22 when I started charting my cycle. And I'm just really proud of it because I have direct data from all these cycles in my life that I have saved. Like, I can literally see how was my cycle 4 years ago in that moment, And I just really like it. I'm a little bit obsessed with that. Maybe that's because of what I do for work. But back to your preconception journey, and something that you can do is charting your cycle, learning how to chart your cycle. And if you want to learn how to do that, I have a podcast that I recorded with Chloe Skurlock, who is a fertility awareness educator that you can go and listen to. I also teach my clients how to start charting. So if you'd be interested in that, you can apply for one-on-one work with me. I also provide some free information on my Instagram. So feel free to go and look and go do it. So for me, charting is hands down one of the most important things that I do. Secondly, another thing that I started doing is really watching how I eat, what I eat, and when I eat. So as some of you know, and maybe you've listened to my episode about it, I used to be vegetarian and vegan for most of my life, my young adult life, and it really wrecked my health. And this is not to say that that type of diet wrecks everybody's health, but for me, it really absolutely dramatically wrecked my health. And so what I started to do again was eating meat and animal-based fats. And I saw direct reflection of that in my menstrual cycle charts. My ovulation, since I started eating meat again and healthy animal-based fats, my ovulation is through the roof. When I was vegetarian and vegan, because I have this data that I just told you about, when I was vegetarian and vegan, my ovulation would go like in a little stairway up, like little bits up, up, up. And now, because I'm eating meat again and having adequate protein and cholesterol in my body, which are both the building blocks of hormones, my ovulation is just like this one straight line up, like this temperature rise, like robust. And this is what you need to get pregnant. You need a robust ovulation. So for me, it was really about, okay, how do I figure out how to robustly ovulate, and how do I make sure I robustly ovulate? Because when I robustly ovulate, I produce enough progesterone, and progesterone is the most important hormone for when we want to fall pregnant. And progesterone comes from the Latin progestare, which means to procreate. And progesterone is literally the hormone that takes the role of the placenta in the first part of pregnancy when the placenta is not created yet. So you want progesterone to be high because you want to survive this first part of pregnancy. And to do that, your body needs to properly ovulate. And when we ovulate robustly, we have a gland in our body called the corpus luteum, which is basically the little shell of our egg, if you will, that will turn into an endocrine gland that will produce progesterone. This corpus luteum, literally translated from Latin, it is yellow body. It's a little yellow body that can grow up to 5 centimeters on your ovary that will produce progesterone. If we poorly ovulate, this gland has no chance to properly grow and properly produce progesterone. So my approach was really finding out, how do I ovulate robustly so that I make sure that whenever it is going to be, when I'm going to get pregnant, that regardless of when that is going to happen, I'm going to make sure I'm going to robustly ovulate every single month to just support my overall health. And the best way to do that is by meeting my protein needs every single day. And there is this hypothesis in science. It's called the protein leverage hypothesis. And it basically says that our body will keep craving for glucose, for carbs, until we have met our protein need of the day. So this was something really important for me, because as a vegan and vegetarian, I ate so many carbs, but I didn't eat enough protein. I was always hungry, and then I started thinking about, how is this going to be when I'm going to be pregnant? Because my body will use more energy. How will I keep up with the extreme hunger that I feel? Little did I know that I was just eating not enough protein and fat. So that's my main focus now. Every single meal, I make sure I have protein and fat. And most of the time, it's animal-based. And I feel great about it. I feel strong. My muscles are strong. I also notice that the more animal-based protein and fat I eat, the better I am in building muscle and maintaining muscle. And this is not to say that I want to become like a super muscular woman, but carrying a baby in your belly, that's heavy, man. You need muscles for that. You need strength for that. So that's my focus. That's another thing that I'm doing in my preconception journey. I'm lifting weights, not big ones, just gentle ones. I'm lifting weights, I'm squatting, I'm making sure I have a strong booty, I have a strong back, so that I'm sure that my body will be able to support the change of gravity that's going to happen whenever I get pregnant. So those are, I think, the 3 main things that I do physically. So I chart my cycle, I make sure I eat enough protein and fat, and I'm lifting and building muscle. And then from a more like mental, emotional perspective, I am really doing work around family line, family lineage, ancestry. How am I raised? What did my ancestors believe? How did my parents raise me? What worked in my upbringing? What absolutely didn't work? What do I want to do different? Like, I really think about these things, and I spend a big chunk of time of my life really reflecting on it. And also really talking about it with my partner. And we are both doing a lot of work with that. Like, we both have a therapist, 2 actually. We both each have 2 therapists, hypnotherapy and regular therapy. And soon we're going to start couples therapy. Not because there are things wrong in our relationship, but we just want to have a very strong foundation for the future. We just want to have a strong foundation for who we are as a person, who we are in our partnership, and who we are going to be as parents. And so we also have conversations about like, okay, what's going to be like when we are parents? How are we going to do things practically? We have very different professions, so we need to see how that kind of like fits in with parenthood. We work on different work schedules, so we need to, discuss these things. We also have conversations about, being a parent. And I think, and I hopefully won't trigger people with this, but I think I will. I think what's going on in the world these days is that a lot of people want to have kids. A lot of people like the idea of kids. But what a lot of people don't think about is whether they are actually ready to become a parent and what does it mean to be a parent? Because I think being a parent is really fucking hard sometimes, and it can be really shit. And, I want to be prepared for that. So those are the things that I open up conversations about with people other than my partner, like with friends, with people who are already parents, with my family members. Like I talk about these things because I want to learn, and this is all just preparation and landing myself into the idea that I will become a parent one day. And some people have accused me for, being obsessive about it or that I want to control too much. But I don't think it's controlling. It's just I'm laying the foundation for my children. Like, do you know how big that is? I am laying the foundation with what I am doing right now. I'm laying the foundation for an entire life of a new human being. Like, that's how I see it. And I want them to be able to just land in a family with people who've done the work, people who have tools to cope with things. And I know for myself, from my own family, we didn't have the tools to deal with certain things. And sometimes we didn't even deal with things at all. And it's just not something that I aspire to be as a person. I want to be able to have tools, and I want to be able to go like, oh, if this happens in my family, let me look at my little toolbox and see what we can do. And is there any support that we can get? And this is just how I am as a person. And this kind of like draws back to what I said earlier, that I'm just very interested in personal development and getting the most out of this human experience, really. So on my preconception journey, people may say whatever the hell they want, that I'm obsessive, but I also know that some things are going to be very easy for me. And I don't mean to sound arrogant, but because I have done specific things and I have focused on specific things, I am almost sure that some things won't be hard for me because I'm so prepared. So one of the things, and this is the last thing that I want to mention for this episode in my preconception preparation. One of the things that I have done, and people have really responded really nasty. I don't understand why. But one of the things that I have done is that for every phase of the pregnancy continuum, so for conception, for pregnancy, for labor, for birth, for postpartum, I have lists of things that I need to be thinking of for that specific phase. And I have it all laid out. I have thought about everything already, or almost everything. I don't want to say that I thought about everything, but almost everything. And the reason I have done that is because I have no idea how my pregnancy is going to be. Imagine I am going to be nauseous and vomiting for 9 months straight. Then you don't have enough time and energy to properly prepare for things. I also don't know how my brain is going to change during pregnancy, especially because I have ADHD. I have no idea what these hormones are going to do to my brain. I have no idea. So I'd better be prepared so that all these things are already in the drawer and I do not have to spend 1 second breaking my brain over things when my body isn't feeling well, potentially. And I think it's pretty brilliant. I think it's really fucking smart that I did that. And I'm really proud of myself. And I don't really care what other people think about it. But I know that these things are in the drawer and that they're there and that I thought about it really well and that, I really took the time and the dedication to, write it all down, make it accessible for people who need to help me. And I know that I'm prepared. I know that I can prepare everything that I can possibly prepare. And those are all the things that I can control. You know, what am I going to eat postpartum? Like, it's already on paper. Like, I don't have to think about it. Postpartum supplements, I don't have to think about it. I already have a list. The things that I find important that need to come with me if I end up in the hospital, I already have it on the list. I don't need to think about it anymore. So when I get pregnant, I want to be able to have my mind as empty as possible, because my mind is already full. Like, my mind already goes nonstop because I have ADHD. So I envision my pregnancy to be this Valhalla of space and rest and quietness. And even though shit hits the fan and I'm nauseous for 9 months, I know that I don't have to worry about anything because everything is already arranged on paper and I just need to find people to execute it. So it gives me a lot of peace. And I don't think it's crazy. I think it's really fucking smart. And I feel that more people, you know, would benefit from this, but that's not up to me to decide. But that's how I am preparing. And that's how I am and have been loving my preconception phase to do all the groundwork. And, you know, on top of that, I'm also reading a lot of books. I love reading. I love listening to podcasts. And I'm reading books about all different kinds of topics, you know, about pregnancy and birth, about nonviolent communication, about Montessori education for babies and toddlers. Oh, another thing that I'm already also doing is collecting baby stuff, like clothes, stuff for me, like nipple support, lactation support, reusable nappies. I already have postpartum support. In the Netherlands, we used to have something called sluitlakens, which is very similar to like Benkung belly binding or rebozo, closing of the bones. We had these practices in the Netherlands too, but people just stopped using them for some reason. But I got traditional sluitlakens, which basically translates to closing sheets that you wear after birth to support your organs to go back to the natural position. So I got those. And yeah, I'm just, you know, every time I see something nice that we could use and that could be something useful for me or the baby, I buy it. And it's in a box waiting until we become parents. So I hope this gave you a little bit more insight into my personal preconception journey and what I do. I hope this inspires you. I also want to say, you know, you do you, like you have your own journey, but I wanted to share my journey because people have been asking me about it. And I finally found some time to share this with you. So let me know what you think. I am curious how this episode landed for you. Feel free to drop me a message on Instagram or respond under the episode on Spotify. And I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, with your friends, with your family, post about it on social media, or leave a rating or a review on all the platforms. To catch all the latest news from me, you can follow at the Planting Seeds podcast on Instagram or at Cycle Seeds on Instagram, or you can go to my website www.cycleseeds.com. Thank you again so much, and I'll see you next time.